Roberts. So we call that battle Robert squared when you've got Noaker and Stout running nose to tail or door to door. At least this weekend, Robert Stout finds himself near a slightly different looking car. Stout's in that all white car for white racing. Last week, oh man, Lamb gets a little slideways coming through 11, but last weekend Stout found himself racing Nico Rieger in a also very white car. Robert's dad, Ken Stout, was trying to spot for Robert. Half the time he said he was calling Nico Rieger around the track because he would get confused. So Robert squared is battling for 4th and 5th right now, but Todd Lamb getting around Matt Dirks for the 6th position. So Lamb continues to make his way up the leaderboard here early in round number 5.
Yeah, started in 9th, so he's picked up 3 spots already. And another driver making a move. Piscatel got around Oxner, so that moves him up into 11th spot. Piscatel, Justin qualified in 13th spot, so he's picked up a couple spots already.
And you talk about moving up positions as Todd Lamb has. There's a hard charger award that is given at the end of each round of the MX5 Cup season presented by BF Goodrich. $1,000 going to the driver and $1,000 going to the crew chief, as well as some other contingency prizes. Todd Lamb actually picked up that hard charger award last week in round 3 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Then he just went all the way and said, yeah, you know what, I like that hard charger award. I want to take the first place award. And he won later on in the day in round number 4. But he's already on the move up through the field right now. 45 minutes on the clock for this race. We're just over 7 minutes in, which means 37 minutes to go. And folks, while that sounds like a lot of time, MX5 Cup racing, the pace starts getting picked up and they just start going. And next thing you know, you look up and it's already 2 or 3 minutes left to go. Field making their way around the backside of the racetrack now. Everybody pretty single file at the moment. But, you know, John, as the house guy here at Mid-Ohio, you know that this track is extremely slippery. Low in grip is what drivers are always talking about, and they're having to combat that right now.
Yeah, especially if we have a little moisture later in the day, and sadly the weather forecast does call for that. So for the second race of the weekend, these guys might have a damp track to deal with.
Good shot right here of Alex Bashura in the number 33 and Liam Snyder. You know what? They might be racing for 16th and 17th on track right now, but it's a close race. We love the camera crew around here catching up with those battles anywhere and everywhere on the track. Robert Stout still working on Robert Noaker. Up front, it's Gresham Wagner just trying to keep his head down and drive away. Nobody's ever led every single lap of a Global MX5 Cup race. I don't expect that to start now. I still don't think it's wise to bet against Gresham Wagner. Jared Thomas has his left blinker on. I don't know if that's to signify that he's preparing to pass on the left-hand side. I wouldn't advise it as they're coming up to turn 4, which is a right-hander. But who knows? Maybe he knows something we don't. The pack continues to roll here, and there's a great shot right there. Roland is reeling in on Carter. It's a little bit at a time, but Roland is letting Carter know that he's there.
Exactly right. And then just about, looks like about 3 seconds behind them, it is Noaker and Stout as they are nose to tail as well. And then a bit of a gap. We've got a whole bunch of 2x2 battles with Stout and Lamb, and then Dirks and Enzor as well.
I think
or Enzor and Thomas, sorry.
No, I think both the Roberts are very smart. They know, hey, right now we're running for 4th and 5th, and that don't pay too well. So we need to work together and reel in these top 3 because Wagner, Carter, and Roland, you know, they're all around each other. If Noaker and Stout can just work together, there's not a big need for drafting here at Mid-Ohio, but that long back straightaway, a draft does benefit you. So you can work on reeling the guy in. And if Robert Stout and Robert Noaker just work together, run nose to tail, don't try anything fancy here, I think they have a real legitimate shot here at reeling in those front 3.
Yeah, of course, the cars are absolutely equal, so it's all down to setup and driver skill to determine who's going to get toward the front. And so, obviously, if Noaker and Stout can hook up and do a little negative clearance drafting down the back straightaway, they have a good shot of picking up the top 3 and making it a 5-way battle.
And I don't want to say I can guarantee it because I can't guarantee much, but I do wholeheartedly expect you to see a battle like that here pick up in the next few minutes, next few laps. We talked about the slick surface here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Unfortunately, it jumped out and bit one of our drivers back on that test day on Thursday. It was the 98 of Jackson Robillard, who was just getting his number 98 from Macomb McAleer Racing, warmed up in the groove, really trying to find out what he wanted, and he came out of that final corner, turn 13, which if you know Mid-Ohio, if you're here at the track or if you're watching watching online, there's a lot of undulation in that corner. I don't know what undulation means, but there's a lot of it in that corner. And he came out of 13. He got a little crossed up. He dropped to the right side, B.F. Goodrich's, over in the grass. And BFGs, John, as you know, can grip pretty much anything. But when they're in wet grass, they really have a hard time. He was doing a great job. He gathered the car up. He continued to skate out. He was in the gravel trap, and he was just about to save the car completely when he hit a decent-sized dip in the gravel trap, and that upset the car for the last time. The car crossed back over the front straightaway, and he made hard nose-front contact with the inside wall that separates pit lane from the front stretch. And they shoved chassis railing and the bars up into the motor. He actually hit so hard. The best news was Jackson was up, okay, got out of the car under his own power, and McCumbee-McAleer Racing is a longtime competitor in the MX5 Cup Series. They knew what to do. They had a backup car ready to go. So he is in a different looking number 98. If you know Jackson, he's in a very unique looking number 98. I don't know how else to describe it. There's lots of blues and greens on that car. But he's in a backup car. He's doing well. As you start to see, it looks like Jared Thomas, and that's going to be that's Jared Thomas and Peter Enzer catching up to the back of the number 76 of Matt Dirks. Thomas and Enzer run 9th and 8th respectively. Matt Dirks is 7th after slipping from his original starting spot of P5. Wow, trying to go around the outside like two trailer park girls. That's the Atlanta Speedworks car of Peter Enzer. He set that up beautifully, John, because if you go to the outside in 4, the track immediately bends back to your left in 5, and they get 2 for the price of 1 as Enzer brings Jared Thomas with him. Dirks, unfortunately, continues to slide.
Yeah, clearly he's got a problem because he was right on the back of Todd Lamb a lap ago.
Yeah.
And he had a slow lap the last lap, so some sort of issue is coming up with Matt Dirks' car as he's dropped 2 places here. Just on this last lap, although he's sticking right to the back now of Jared Thomas, so perhaps he'll be able to get back around.
Well, and I think everyone who drives or has raced or driven competitively knows, when you get that opportunity to line right up behind somebody that maybe just got around you, you benefit from that. You get to find out, they're braking 50 feet deeper into the corner. They're getting back onto the power here. They're not turning in till there. So it's a big benefit. And Dirks is a relative newcomer to the MX5 Cup Series. So for him to get that benefit of running behind guys like Peter Enzer and Jared Thomas, who's also a rookie, as business starts to pick up at the front, Dirks is going to benefit from that. And again, he's having a career weekend, at least in the MX5 Cup. He's looking great right now, running as well as he is, qualifying 5th. He's competing in the top 10 right now. I think it's a huge learning curve in this series, and Dirks is making the absolute most of it. Now I think it's both headlight flashers are on the number 96. It's an old sports car trick to try to upset the guy in front of you, throw him off, flash him going into the corner, distract him. It's not working right now on Peter Enzer, but Jared Thomas, I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon.
Exactly right. Looking at this top 3 again, that really nice crane shot as they go through turn number 6. And Wagner, Carter, and Roland are just hooked together and have been for a while. As we get closer to the end of this race, we've still got half an hour to go, so there's plenty of racing left to go. These guys are kind of holding station right now, feeling each other out, kind of seeing where each other has weaknesses. And then as we get down to the last 10 minutes or so, things will get a little more intense.
Exactly, and I think that's a really good metaphor. I remember when I joined the MX5 Cup back in 17, it felt like from the green flag, it was just it was a throwdown. It was a fight every lap. But I think for some reason, and maybe you'll shed some light on it later, but that's been the theme this year. Is it's a lot more, hey, let's get into the halfway point. Let's get into the meat of this thing. Let's feel each other out. The top 3, Gresham Wagner, Michael Carter, Celine Roland, they're all doing, I think, exactly as you said. And they know that this is a long race. This is 45 minutes, which is longer than my last relationship. And these races, you don't want to burn up your BF Goodrich tires, because for race number 2 later today, they're going to get to put on brand new sticker BFGs. But for this race, they have on the same tire rubber that they qualified on yesterday afternoon. Now, they didn't put on a lot of laps, less than 10, more than likely in a 20-minute session, but still, you cannot overheat these BFGs. It's a medium to hard compound, but we all know, if you're out here slip and slide and making your tire a cheese grater on this pavement, you're not going to be able to put your car where you want it a little bit later on. And with these MX5 Cup cars, John, they're not overflowing with horsepower. These aren't V8s. Momentum is key in these cars. And Mid-Ohio, in my opinion, this is a track that it's hard to develop a rhythm in. you know, it's not a lot of long, flowing corners that all lead into each other. There's some tight stuff. There's some flowing corners. There's off-camber. There's late apex. You have to really keep your momentum wound up all lap in these cars, or you're going to pay for it the following lap.
And Robert Noacre's getting away from Robert Stout just a little bit, which is kind of unusual. Stout usually right on his back bumper, but at the moment, he's opened up a couple seconds lead. And then kind of running by himself, Todd Lamb now, but Jared Thomas all over Peter Enzor in that battle for 7th.
Yeah, Noacre looks really good. He's 2.7 seconds back from race leader Gresham Wagner. Last time by Noacre was a minute 36.5. Stout was a minute 36.8. You know, some of the guys in the pits yesterday heard me struggling with simple math, but the fact of the matter is if you're a few tenths of a second quicker than the guy behind you, you're going to pull away from him each and every lap. Another lap in the books here, working the 11th lap as we just completed our first 10. Gresham Wagner driving for Spark Performance, as is the car in 3rd place, the number 87 of Celine Roland. Spark Performance, you might be thinking that's a unique name. Where's that come from? Nathaniel Sparks, former series champion and Mazda scholarship driver. In my opinion, he and John Dean II are guys that when I think of Mr. MX-5, Mr. Mazda, it's one of those two guys. And Sparky kind of leaving, stepping out from Six Sideways Racing, John Dean II's program down in Sebring, Florida. Those guys worked together, raced together for years. John not bringing the team to the series this year. Obviously, we miss him. We wish him the best. We hope if he's watching, he's doing well. Even if he's not watching, we still hope he's doing well. But Sparky went out and started his own team, and this guy not only knows how to drive him, but he knows how to set him up, and that's evidenced every session this season by Gresham Wagner and Celine Roland's performance. They're P1 and P3 right now. Michael Carter branching off and doing his own thing for Carter Racing Enterprises in the 08. He also has a teammate in the field. That's the number 96 of Jared Thomas. So Thomas got that scholarship check from Mazda, and they said, where do you want to go race? They said, let's go with Michael Carter. Carter's a former scholarship shootout winner. So both of those guys know exactly what the other one is going through. Thomas and Enzor in that blue and yellow number 49, they're starting to reel in on the Atlanta Speedworks team owner and the number 84 at Todd Lamb. There go your front three right by us down into the first corner. Noacre's by himself, Stout's by himself, and then here comes 6th, 7th, 8th. This is a good little battle right here. Todd Lamb's going to lead him down into the tunnel. Right behind him is his teammate Peter Enzor. Jared Thomas is behind them. Matt Dirks is 9th. Justin Piscatel rounds out your top 10. Man, and the front three are just, I mean, they're all over each other.
Yeah, Dirks is continuing to lose ground as something not quite right with that car as we're getting into the second half of this race, 26 minutes remaining. So Dirks fallen back into 9th now. Also, John, is it Giesbrecht? Is that how you pronounce it?
Giesbrecht.
Yeah.
I always mess that up.
Yeah, there you go.
Giesbrecht. He's new. He's racing with Maverick, and they've been working a lot this season, and he's getting better. I mean, incrementally better each and every session. Giesbrecht is out there on track. Maybe he'll get good enough one weekend where I finally nail the pronunciation of his name. Gresham Wagner with a really good run off the backstretch through 4, 5, and now out of 6. He was able to put a little bit of daylight between he and him and Michael Carter, who's in 2nd. Carter's in the hot seat right now is I think how you would really refer to where Carter's at, because he's in the middle of two really talented drivers. He's got to be defensive and know that he's got Celine Roland behind him, but he can't drive in his mirrors, because if he does that, through his windshield, he's going to lose visibility of Gresham Wagner. So I really don't envy the spot Carter is in right now, because no matter what he does, he's going to lose to somebody. So he's got to focus on Wagner. He did not have a great run through 12 right there. He's going to allow Wagner to get even farther out in front of him. There's all that undulation we were just talking about in 12 and 13. I knew Wagner was going to be good, but I didn't think he'd be this good.
Yeah, he's like you said, it's unheard of for the same driver to lead one of these races flag to flag, and so far he's done just that.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: if he runs flag to flag, I'm not going to say I'll eat my hat, because I don't want to do that. They only give me one a year, but I really
you can chew on it.
Yeah, I'll nibble on it, but and that's not me commenting and saying, oh, Wagner can't do it. It's just these races are so competitive. As Thomas was taking a look to the inside of Peter Enzor heading up to the keyhole, they're door to door. Right through the keyhole right there, turn number 2, and Thomas is going to get it done. Typically in the open wheel cars, you can't really say door to door because there's no doors on an open wheel car, but here in MX5 Cup, they're literally door handle to door handle. We've seen paint rubbed off of the door handles on these MX5 Cup cars, and that's why it's a good thing We've got audio and video broadcast streaming right now, and I know we lost the broadcast for just a little bit, but we want to welcome everybody back here to Mid-Ohio. We wish you were here. You need to come. There's great racing right there. That is 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Todd Lamb. Now it's Jared Thomas in the number 96 up to 7th. Peter Enzer back to 8th. Then it's Matt Dirks in 9th, and Justin Piscatel rounds out the top 10. These guys aren't even racing for a podium spot, John, and they're battling tooth and nail.
Indeed, but there's points scored all the way down
Absolutely.
the field. So obviously everybody wants to get their points as close as possible. I mean, looking at coming into this race, there's only 16 points between Noacre and Roland at the top, and then only 8 points back to Michael Carter, another 6 back to Todd Lamb. These guys are going to scrap and dig for every point they can get. As with 2 races here this weekend, or two this weekend, you guys will be back in 2 weeks with IMSA for 2 more, and then a pair at New Jersey and a pair at St. Pete. There's a lot of racing left to go.
Well, and you bring up a great point with points, John, because in the championship points picture, it's not just a big shiny trophy and your title that you get. Mazda steps up and throws so much money at helping young drivers advance their career. You talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, there's ND2, there's ND1. We only have one ND1 car here. It's the pre-2019 version of the MX-5 Cup car. Everybody else is running an ND2. That's the more modern version. To win the ND2 championship here in 2020, Mazda is going to write a scholarship check to advance the career of that champion for the value of $200,000. And they don't just stop there. If you finish second in the MX-5 Cup Championship this season, $60,000. Do they stop there? No, they don't. Third place, $25,000. Fourth place is $13,500. And if you finish 5th in the championship this year, you'll still leave with $10,000. So when you talk about racing for every position because every point matters, you're exactly right. And look out, because championship point leader Robert Noacre has gapped Robert Stout. It no longer is Robert squared here in the top 5. It is just singular Roberts, as there is 6th, 7th, and 8th behind them. But Noacre is starting to reel in on Celine Roland. I think we're a few minutes away from queuing up the Jaws theme music.
Exactly. Yeah, Noacre just set the fastest lap of the top 4, 36.5 on that last lap. So he is definitely coming, saving a little car. Is tire management an issue for these drivers? I mean, do they
the way they drive, you'd think it isn't.
Yeah.
You'd think nobody tells them about it. But actually, I was just speaking to Pete Calhoun with BF Goodrich Racing right before we came over to the tower. And he talked about Mid-Ohio is obviously such a great venue, and it attracts so many series, so many cars, and obviously so many different tire compounds. And it's a little bit of an issue. 20-30% the issue is getting the BF Goodrich rubber through the Cooper rubber, through the Firestone rubber, and getting it to contact its other, the already laid down BF Goodrich rubber. But, the other thing is this track, I don't know if they go through and hand polish it at night, but this track is just slick here at Mid-Ohio. So it's very difficult. Managing tires anywhere we go is important. But you look at IMS, where we just were last week, that's a very high grip, diamond ground racetrack, whereas here, it's polished, it feels like. So they do have to manage their tires here. They have to be smart. But with 20 minutes to go, they know that they have a little bit left in the tank when it comes to tire life, and they get to put on new BFGs for the second race later today. So, I mean, I know that was a roundabout answer, but yes, they have to manage the tires, but it's not like they have to nurse them through a pair of races this weekend.
Yeah, the reason I asked is that we see some cars, comers and goers, basically. We see some cars beginning to fade a little bit here in the second half of this race, and other drivers coming on, like Noacre, and it makes me wonder if maybe he did a little better job of managing his tires in the opening half of this race, and now that we're well into the second half, he's beginning to reap the benefit of that. He's got a little more rubber under him right now to be able to close up on Celine Roland.
And honestly, it's a fair point, John. I mean, the interesting thing to me is, 2020 has obviously been unique, to say the least. But the race...
That's a good word.
Yeah, well, I had others, but I need this paycheck.
Yeah.
But MX-5 Cup racing this year has been different, and this race is one of the most unusual I've seen because they don't run single file like this, especially at the front, for very long. And that's Robert Stout right there on your screen. He's 5th. Okay, you don't see 6th and 7th place in the frame for quite a while. So to see them this gapped out, I don't know if it's a tire management issue. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what it is because this is unusual. We're used to seeing packs of 8, 10 cars at the front of the field, at least races of 4 or 5 cars going for the lead. Again, 20 minutes to go. This race isn't over by a long shot. Wagner's been lights out. Michael Carter obviously has something for him. Now, catching him's one thing, passing him's another. You're going to see these guys get side by side, but this is just I mean, tire management must be the issue that you bring up, because I've never seen drop-off like this.
Yeah, Celine Roland has kind of lost touch with that top three, and he's really coming under pressure now from Robert Noaker, the points leader, as he's closing in on him.
And Celine Roland, as we talked about, he is a former Rookie of the Year. He's a former Scholarship Shootout winner. You've actually got the last 3 Scholarship Shootout winners who, as I said, were young road racers that were invited by Mazda to a combine of sorts. You got the last 3 years of Scholarship Shootout winners all running in the top 10. Jared Thomas is the most recent. Then you've got Michael Carter, who's running in second, and before him was Celine Roland. So those are all 3 drivers that are in this series still today as benefactors. Last year, Michael Carter won the Rookie of the Year, and with that came $75,000, just as they will pay out again this year. So Carter gets to race the following season. Celine Roland won the Rookie of the Year his first season, and Mazda steps up and writes a check for $75,000 to go towards your following season's MX-5 Cup budget. Rookie of the Year this season, $75,000. Second highest finishing rookie, $25,000. Third place finishing rookie in the championship standings, $12,000. Fourth place, $8,000. Fifth place still leaves with $5,000 thanks to Mazda Motorsports. And, that's not a bad day at the office for driving some MX-5s.
Piscatel all over Dirks for that 9th spot now, as Piscatel right at the end of the top 10, looking to get up a spot as we go back to our leaders, Wagner and Carter.
I'll tell you what, Noaker is right there on Celine Roland. Yep. I think this is a fight for the final step on the podium, rather. They're not going to stop at the podium. They've got another race to go. But Noaker has done just phenomenal at reeling in, getting away from Robert Stout. Stout won here last year. Robert Stout is no slouch, obviously. He knows these cars. He's been in the MX-5 Cup for several years now. He won here last season. But Noaker had to, get away from Stout, and now he's reeled in Celine Roland. And you're going to see a battle for the lead, and you're going to also see this 2-car battle for third place pick up here as they come around to complete lap number 17. And we're just about at 16 minutes to go in this one. And Mid-Ohio's cool. It's not, I don't want to call it a bull ring because it's not tiny, but, it kind of has that short track feel to it where you're always in the steering wheel. You're always working around here. And in these MX-5 Cup cars, you see that evident every lap.
Yeah, we talked about it. There's really no place to relax on this racetrack. I mean, even the back straightaway's got a dogleg in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of time for drivers to kind of get their wits about them. They're in a turn pretty much all the time. And so that makes for good racing for sure.
Mid-race rundown brought to you here by BF Goodrich Racing Tires. It's not really the mid-race. We're kind of past the halfway point of this one. Gresham Wagner continues to lead from the pole position. Michael Carter running right behind him in second. Celine Roland is involved in a 2-car fight with Robert Noaker. That's for the last step on the podium in P3. Noaker is 4th. Stout rounds out your top 5. Todd Lamb is 6th, trying to hold off Scholarship Shootout winner Jared Thomas in the number 96 for Carter Racing Enterprises. Number 49, Peter Enzer is behind him in 8th. Matt Dirks is 9th. Justin Piscatel is 10th. Hickson runs 11th. Auctioner 12th. Coulieri 13th. Bashura up from his dead last starting spot in 14th. Snyder 15th. And trouble, I don't know what's happened to John Giesbray. I don't know if he is off the track, but he was running up inside the top 10 for a while, and now he is scored down in 16th. Jackson Robillard is the last running car on track in 17th. But, boy, Jared Thomas in that soul red Mazda with that bright yellow cage, that Lemons of Love, with the official charity of the Global MX-5 Cup is the color on that cage, and he is right behind Todd Lamb, who ironically is on the board of directors for the charity Lemons of Love. So while Todd would like to see that car do well, he does not want to get past. Stout comes by to complete lap number 5, and here comes that battle we're talking about, 6th, 7th, and 8th at the start-finish line. Todd Lamb is in 6th, Jared Thomas in 7th, Enzer is in 8th, Dirks is in 9th, and then Justin Piscatel rounds out your top 10. This is going to get big here, I think, in the next couple laps.
Yeah, John Cheesebray fell off the back of the pack a couple laps ago, so he must have had a spin at some point.
Yeah.
And now Jackson Robillard is back there too. So Robillard also was running up in the top 10. So I'm not sure what issue he might have had, but he's fallen back to the back now.
Yeah, tough weekend for Robillard. That team over there, McCumbee McAleer Racing, worked really hard. And this top 2 has just driven away. Stout and, Noaker and Roland start to battle with each other at the end of the back straightaway. Noaker is looking high. Now he's looking low as they come out of 4 through 5. The right-hander turn 6 is up next. Can Noaker shoehorn his way in past Roland? He's alongside. He's got a fender there. Oh, and he's gonna feed him a left rear.
A little hip check there, I think.
Roland mows the grass coming out of 6 and 7. And, oh, boy, you wonder if race control is going to say anything about that because Noaker, yeah, a little hip check. he fed it to Roland.
Yeah, they're still playing hockey, so, whatever.
Quick body check coming out of the far side of the racetrack. So Roland, that's going to kill his momentum running over there on the grass. You hate to see that. And that really calms things down in that third-place fight we were watching. Roland's not going to be happy about that. Noaker, Robert Noaker is the most mild-mannered. I don't mean to be, funny or rude at all, but he's just a meek kid. He's not going to get in your face. He's not going to, tell you that he's going to come beat you or what he's going to do to you. But the kid just puts his visor down. And he goes out there, and then he becomes an animal, and, he just fed it. And I think Roland's got a solid foot on Robert Noaker, and I don't think anything is going to come from it. That's just good, hard racing, but that was a big-time move by Robert Noaker.
Yeah, I mean, he made the move, really started that move at the end of the straightaway as he tried to go around the outside. That put him in position to take the outside line around turn 5, and then he just stuffed it in there at turn 6 and drifted a little bit wide, and those two made contact as they just ran out of racetrack.
Yeah, a really well-executed move that, again, a guy like Noaker, nobody's going to call him a veteran at 16 years of age, but, he knows Mid-Ohio, and he likes Mid-Ohio a lot, but then again, who doesn't like Mid-Ohio? Big thanks to Aaron Sequel, Series PR, for letting me know that both Cheesebray and Robillard had a spin and continue. They were not related incidences, but they were both in turn 10 on different laps. So both those drivers going for a spin and a continue. That's why they're back down towards the bottom of the running order here in race number 1 of the weekend. Field making their way towards the end of this one. Carter, when does he make his move? When does he pick his spot to start throwing his nose out there to the inside and really challenging Gresham Wagner? Minute 36.8. Last time by, Carter was a little bit quicker. Now he slows down. It was a minute 36.8 from Wagner to a minute 36.7 for Carter, but now it flips, and Wagner stays at a minute 36.8. Carter backs off to a minute 36.9. The gap is just nearly 0.4 of a second. A little bit farther back, 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's not calmed down, but it's not as hot as it was earlier. Lamb still in 6th, Jared Thomas in 7th, Peter Enzer is in 8th. But, man, Robert Noaker in that Copeland-prepared car just, looking great right now. That was a big-time move. It was a high-commitment situation. He had to commit. He did. And now you see the front two still paired up, but 3rd, 4th, and 5th, man, they're all on their own island right now.
Yeah, and Noaker not having enough pace to run down the drivers at the front at this stage. Again, we still got 11 and a half minutes left, so a lot could still change. But Noaker doesn't appear to have the pace at this point to run down the top 2, but he's keeping his podium streak alive, so he'll have scored either a win, a 2nd, or a 3rd in every race so far this season if he can maintain that 3rd spot.
And it is impressive when you look at the time charts here, John. You see Wagner and Carter are the only 2 drivers in the sub-37 second bracket. They're both minute 36s, and then Noaker's a minute 37 flat. Celine Roland's a minute 37 flat, and then it's pretty much that way until outside of the top 10. So Wagner and Carter obviously found something that the rest of the field did not coming into today.
Exactly right. And, Wagner coming off his 2nd place finish in the very first round of racing at Road America. Then, as you said, with tough luck at IMS with that technical issue after the race was finished, he's trying to get back to the top step of the podium. And he's got a lot. He can make up a lot of ground in the points with a win here today.
Absolutely.
Because he's only 5 points behind Peter Enzer, 3 points behind Justin Piscatel, another point to Luke Oxner. That middle section of the series points from 7th down through about 12th, just single-digit points between them. So Wagner can definitely make up some ground here.
Well, and to your point that you made earlier, we come right back here to Lexington in 2 weeks to compete under the IMSA weekend. And if you figure something out now and you can keep that momentum rolling, and obviously confidence is key, especially when you win and you got to go to a new track, you feel good. You think, oh, man, new track. But if you can win here and then come right back in 2 weeks, that's, I think, going to be at least worth a 10th or 2. And so if these guys can figure something out here, namely Gresham Wagner, and he can really run well this weekend, man, that opens up 2 weeks from now. The world is his oyster, and then New Jersey and St. Pete. St. Pete's the wild card, in my opinion. That street race, anything can happen there.
Sure.
But yeah, with us getting to come back here to Mid-Ohio in just 2 weeks' time, boy, Wagner, I think right now is licking his lips. He feels really good about what he's got underneath him. And we talked about he had just that unfortunate technical disqualification in race number 3, the first of the doubleheader last weekend, and then he got caught up in a wreck in round number 4 later on in the afternoon with Jared Thomas. So, Wagner, he's fine if we don't go back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway anytime soon. I think I tell you what, I think he's about to take up residence in Lexington, Ohio, because he loves this place right now, and it's hard not to. What a cool racetrack, what a fun complex, what a cool facility, and Jared Thomas is right behind Todd Lamb right there as they roll through the undulation. That's the $10 word of the race so far. And they're working on cracking the top 5. They run 6th, 7th, and 8th right now. With as little a time as we have left in this race, John, I don't think you're going to see a change. Stout's probably going to be able to stay on the island. He's right there in turn 2. Yep. And then it's a country mile back to 6th, 7th, and 8th. But 6th, 7th, and 8th is not slowing down. They're still battling amongst each other.
Yeah, they are the best battle on the racetrack right now is those 3. And Todd Lamb with Jared Thomas and Peter Ensor just nose to tail as they work their way off the keyhole turn and head the long back straightaway with the dog leg to the right. But looking at Noacre's lap time, again, not making up any ground on Michael Carter. So Noacre may have to be content with a 3rd spot here. But again, keeping that podium streak alive.
All right, John, do you want a little bit of drama?
Sure.
This is going to spice things up for you, okay? Race Control has just announced over the team frequency that the 13 of Robert Noacre must give the 3rd position back to the 87.
I'll be
all
right.
For avoidable contact. So I like that. I don't have an opinion on whether the penalty is deserved or not because I'm an announcer and I'm not paid to give my opinion on that.
Sure.
But I am paid to give my opinion on what kind of penalty it is. And I think Kyle Novak in Race Control, that's an extremely fair penalty, and here's why. If you drive Noacre through the pits right now, his race is over.
Yeah.
He's done. But all Noacre has to do, by definition, is get out of the gas, give the 87 back his position, which he's already done. You can see it right there, and now he can go right back to working on Celine Roland. So it's a fair penalty, in my opinion. I don't know if what caused it is anything. I'm going to stop talking about it. But with 7 minutes to go, Noacre still has plenty of laps to work on Celine Roland, and that's the best outcome, I think, for what happened over there in turn 7 and 8 when Roland ran off. Roland's back in 3rd now. It's up to Noacre to go change it.
Exactly. And he's nose to tail. He's already given the spot back, so now he's right on his back bumper as they head down into turn 4. The 2 leaders beginning to separate just a little bit. And here comes that battle for 3rd.
Noacre on the high side coming into turn 4. That's not going to work in the 4th corner, but it might work in the 5th corner when it's a left-hander. He's got to do it clean this time. They run door handle to door handle through turn 5, down the hill, into 6. The track bends back to the right. Roland now is exactly where Noacre was just a few laps ago, but Noacre keeps his foot on the loud pedal and clears Roland again. Oh, my.
At that same place.
Man.
Just went on the opposite side.
On the opposite side.
Exactly.
So he said, this route didn't work. Let me try this one. And that is why the sanctioning from IndyCar is just so crucial for this series, because you have a Race Control led by Kyle Novak and the same folks, the same Race Control that run the NTT IndyCar Series and the Indianapolis 500 are officiating over this race, and they knew, hey, we can either wreck Robert Noacre's race, when really what he did was move Roland out of the way, but we can give him the chance to make things square, which he did, and then go back and do it again. I love how that all just played out.
Exactly right. That's the perfect decision to make in that instance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that was fair, and it's not over yet. Roland can come right back as he takes a look to the inside here in the keyhole. They run through turn 2. It's a long, sweeping right-hander. Can Roland make the inside work? It's a little bit of bumping. It's a little bit of grinding. They're door-to-door as they'll drag race down the long back straightaway here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but Noacre had just a little bit more exit speed on the high side of turn 2, and it looks like he's going to be able to clear Celine Roland. He's going to drop down to the inside. Noacre is. Roland says, okay, I'll go to the high side. They're going to do this whole 2x2 thing through 4, 5, and 6 once more. Roland dirt tracks it through 4. Can't keep it underneath him. He's going to have to give way. Noacre clears him and picks up the 3rd spot for what feels like the 20th time this race.
Exactly. And this battle is not over, I can tell you. This is going to go right down to the wire with about 4.5 4.5 minutes remaining. That's just a handful of laps for these drivers.
And Stout is loving this because the more that Noacre and Roland battle,
Yep.
Robert Stout, they're getting bigger in Robert Stout's windshield, and Stout's getting bigger in their rearview mirror. Roland, as you talked about earlier, John, has to be smart here and manage his tires. You know, it's the end. We're 40 minutes in to this 45-minute race with 4.5 to play. You know, you will start to heat up those rear tires, and this track, it's slippery, and so you really do let the back end step out. I stood during testing and watched them come off of the back straightaway through 4. I mean, and if that corner's not polished, then I don't know what is, because they were sliding. They were just barely hopping that rear end of the car through the corner, and you know, that turns the tire into a cheese grater. The more you're moving laterally across the pavement, you're going to heat up and you're going to chew through the rubber. So, you know, they got to be smart as Noacre defends heading into the keyhole, forces Celine Roland to the outside, but turn 2 right there, John, it gets very bumpy and it gets very rough to run through that corner that way.
Yeah, Noacre absolutely defensive coming off of the first turn as he just stuffed it down to the inside. He's doing the same thing again, going down the back straightaway. He doesn't want to give up that inside line down into turn 4.
And he's smart to do that for corner entry. But, John, as you know from calling a lot of racing yourself, a tight entry is great to stop the guy from going on the inside at the start of the corner, but it kills your exit speed as now Roland takes another look through 4. But by Noacre pinching the corner entry off as hard as he is, great. No one's going to get to the inside of you getting into the corner, but your speed will be down some percentage coming out of the corner from what it should be. And if Roland stays at home, and by that I mean runs his normal line, if he would just stay up, run his normal line through turn 4, and Noacre stay down on the bottom, physics tell us that he's going to have more momentum when Roland comes out of the corner. So far be it for me to tell these guys how to drive the race car, even though I kind of just did. But, you know, you wonder when Roland's going to go, hey, if I just stay up high and do what I know to do, I'll probably get him on corner exit.
Yep, exactly right. But I'll give Robert Noacre credit. He is doing a fantastic job of making that car as wide as possible without being unfair about it.
Exactly. You bring up great. He's not blocking. He's not throwing moves back and forth on the straightaways. He's committing to one line. A race director once, who is not with this series, gave me a fun definition of blocking. You can zig, but you cannot zag.
Right.
And
you
if
can't move in response.
Yes,
is what
exactly.
they call it.
You can make your move as Noacre is going to live on the bottom. He is catfishing here in these final couple of laps because he stays down on the bottom. And Roland, he knows that if he's going to make something work, he's got to go to the high side. He tucks right up behind Noacre. They run down the back straightaway. There's your leader, Gresham Wagner. He's pulled away from Michael Carter. He is about to prove me wrong and go flag to flag, and I'm going to have to nibble on my hat when this is all over. They head to the end of the back straightaway, roll on to the high side once again. Oh, but Noacre just gets into that corner so late. He doesn't give Roland any chance.
He's really good on the brakes, and that's what gives him the advantage there. And if he got a nose ahead on the inside line, he can pretty much hold it through the top of the hill.
I'm amazed at how good Noacre is getting through 4.
We're probably going to see the white flag this time.
Oh, you're right. See, what did I say? You start watching this racing, you look up, and oh my gosh, it's almost over. As a minute and a half less than that is on the clock. Should be seeing Chief Starter Aaron Likens. Yes, there he is. White flag will be displayed at the starter stand. Gresham Wagner is about to go flag to flag here in round 5 of the 2020 MX5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich. I can't believe it. I'm having to eat my own words right now.
Not a problem. Hey, but the battle is still on for that final step on the podium. Noacre keeping his streak alive at the moment, but Celine Roland might have a little trick up his sleeve for this last lap.
I think the last lap, not that anything goes, but you'll see anything try to go here. Wagner's up in front. He's just got to stay and hit his marks, and he's fine. He'll get out of here with the victory. Michael Carter runs in second. But here they come, way down on the bottom. Roland says, I'll try top shelf here. Noacre says, no soup for you. As they roll through turn number 2, they come out of the keyhole, down the back straightaway. Does Roland try anything here in 4, John? What do you think?
I think he will, but this time it looks like Noacre got a little better run off the keyhole.
He did.
He's got maybe half a car length advantage. Last couple of laps, Roland's been right on his bumper.
He made a great run out of the keyhole down the back straightaway, and he was able to put more daylight between he and Roland than we've seen, and it's evidenced here because now Roland's not even able to get up alongside Noacre to try something. He is going to defend out of 4 through 5, and this puts him in a different setting. Roland could still make something happen here as they come through 7. Or 6, rather. I'm sorry.
Yep, through 6 at the bottom of the hill. Then they climb the hill under the bridge, up over turn 8, down into turn 9. This is really his last opportunity, and he's not close enough to get it done. From here on out, it's pretty much a straight shot to the start-finish line.
Checkered flags are out here high above the starter stand, and they are going to wave for pole sitter. He went flag to flag. He dominates here in Ohio. Gresham Wagner wins it for Spark Performance here at Mid-Ohio. Michael Carter comes home in second. And how about this tooth and nail battle for third place? They've traded it a dozen times or so, but it's going to be the number 13 of Robert Noaker standing on the podium here in round 5 in Lexington, Ohio.
A change behind them, too.
Oh, yes, and Celine Roland ends up in 4th. Robert Stout was almost there in 5th. Todd Lamb is going to end up in the 6th. No, that was the call you made. Jared Thomas getting around. Wow, he took all race to do it, but he finally made it stick. Thomas comes home in 6th. The rookie beats the veteran. Todd Lamb finishes 7th. Enzer is 8th. Piscatel is 9th. And Matt Dirks rounds out the top 10. How about that?
Pretty fair race, my friend.
I think fair is a great word for that, actually. I think everything that happened in that race was exactly the way IndyCar wants to see it, and you can't be mad about that. I absolutely take my hat off to Gresham Wagner. I said multiple times, nobody's ever led all the way. Nobody ever will. You're not going to see it. But Wagner, Spark Performance, Celine Roland, they all worked together, and Wagner absolutely dominated them here today in Lexington.
Well done.
Absolutely. He's your winner. Michael Carter comes home in 2nd. Robert Noaker will stand on the podium in 3rd. Those podium ceremonies are going to happen back in the MX5 Cup / Road to Indy paddock area. I'm not sure if fans are allowed in the paddocks.
They're not.
They're not. Okay, so unfortunately, you guys will not be able to join us, but we will be celebrating with Gresham Wagner, Michael Carter, and Robert Noaker. John, as always, thanks for letting us come hang out, and I guess I will be seeing you in just a few short hours.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be back for your second race of the weekend at 3 o'clock this afternoon, as that'll be setting the stage for the feature event of the weekend, the first of 2 IndyCar races coming up at 5.
You sound like a bully. 3 o'clock, meet me by the flagpole.
Yeah.
But I'm going to meet you back at the PA booth. And how about that? Right before the first of the 2 IndyCar races, a nice little appetizer to wet your whistle, some MX5 Cup racing. I will see you then.
Love to see the fenders here.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. We'll be back a little bit later on for more MX5 Cup racing here at Mid-Ohio.
Thanks to Tony.